new video. Today we're doing 2 NFL player props here on PrizePicks for Sunday, October 29th. Before we get started, you guys, take a look in the description below of this video and hop into our premium Discord. $9.30 per month. So where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We also have other premium cappers in there as well that post all of their plays, research, and analysis. We're close to 400 members in the premium Discord. So again, super positive community. Everyone in there really is trying to help each other cash. Everyone's posting, the slips they're playing, their thoughts, their research on the specific plays that they like. Again, super positive community, 31 cents per day, link in the description below for that. I also want to mention, I'm not a gambling expert and this is not financial advice. These are simply plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But again, we've been on a pretty wild run here. Actually, if we hit on both of these plays today, it'll be a full week of videos with every single play from the videos cashing. So a great run we've been on. Obviously, this is gambling, so there will be highs and lows in this, but nonetheless, let me know in the comments below if you've cashed out on any of these plays in the last 6 or 7 videos with me, and drop a like on this video because I do drop content like this all the time. Again, let's not waste any time, you guys. 2 plays here for NFL Sunday. Let's get right into it. So the first play is going to be, you can see the search bar here. It's going to be a buy low opportunity. It's going to be Devonta Smith over 10.5 fantasy score here against the Washington Commanders. I think this is a buy low. We look at Devonta. He's under this line in 4 of his last 5 actually, and his only over is specifically against the Washington Commanders at home. But this matchup here, obviously division matchup, rivalry type of atmosphere on the road in Washington. Philly's going to be 7-point favorites here with 43.5 over under total. Not really looking like the rain's going to be too much of a factor. 23% chance of rain, not looking like the weather's going to be too much of a factor. 23% chance of rain, which is not a great percentage, and then some 7-mile-per-hour winds. So weather shouldn't be a factor here. Divisional matchup. If we take a look specifically, we go back to Devonta Smith, right? And the routes and the targets have been there for him. I think 5, 11, 5, 5, 9, 5, 5, and 10 targets for him. But the routes run, in the last 3 weeks, he's actually ran a route on every single one of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks. So, he's running a ton of routes. He's on the field pretty much the entire time, every single snap of the offense, he's running on the field. And I think this is just a buy low. We had been continuously kind of seeing, I don't know why we had been continuously seeing Devonta Smith's fantasy score line at 13.5, 14.5. I think even last week it was at 13.5. So we get it at 10.5 here, which is just a super, super discount in my opinion. We take a look at Devonta. Like I said, he started the season over this line pretty easily. 17.7 PPR fantasy points and 23.1 PPR fantasy points in those first 2 weeks of the season. But we go back to last season, right? 10.5 is all we need. Look how many times he cleared 10.5 last year. This is including the playoffs as well. He cleared in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games last year. Devonta Smith cleared this fantasy score line of 10.5. And 2 games last season against Washington, 15.9 fantasy and 30.9 fantasy last year on the road in Washington. So this game last year in Washington, the same exact scenario that we get in this game, Devonta Smith, 8 catches for 169 yards and a touchdown. Right, and even this year, I would say Commanders' secondary and their pass defense has gotten worse. Right, we look at the Commanders; they're giving up currently the 3rd most fantasy points to this wide receiver position. Obviously, a ton of those fantasy points have come to wide receiver ones. But we look at some of these PPR fantasy score game logs for some of these wide receivers. DJ Moore had 49, AJ Brown had 38.5 in that same game, where Devonta Smith had 14.8, Drake London 21.5, Brandon Johnson 20.6, Marvin Mims 20.3. So we look at 2 of these guys here who are not named Cortland Sutton and are not named Jerry Jeudy. They both had 20 plus fantasy points against this, essentially Commanders secondary. In that same game, we saw Cortland Sutton have 11.6. Without question, a line of 5 catches for 66 yards is very, very possible for Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith, 5 catches for 66 yards without a touchdown, still would clear this line at 11.6. Gabe Davis, 4 catches for 35 yards. 1 catch for 35 yards and a touchdown, give him 10.5. 10.5 for a player like Devonta Smith, who is running routes on every single one of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks. We know that knee of Jalen Hurts is also bothering him as well. So he's not looking to run the ball a ton, obviously with the tush push, but Devonta Smith at 10.5, just way too low for me. We look at even last season, his splits home versus away. He had more yards on fewer catches away. Also had more touchdowns away last season. Just too low, right, guys, for Devonta Smith. It's just way too low for him. I just think it's a super buy low opportunity in an absolute elite matchup, you guys. The Commanders are giving up the most yards per throw in the NFL. The absolute most yards per throw. Commanders' rush defense is actually decent. I mean, yards per carry. I mean, last year they were a lot better, but you can see here 4.04 yards per carry. So I could definitely see Jalen Hurts in this divisional game. Obviously on the road, this game will be close. I definitely don't see any sort of blowout, and I think a pretty even game script for the Eagles and Devonta Smith. But at 10.5, just way too low given the production the Commanders have given up to the wide receiver position. 10.5 is 5 catches for 60 yards, clears this over, guys. And we look at some odds here. I mean, minus 145 on Caesars for Devonta Smith to go over 48.5 receiving yards. So again, the book's favoring him heavily to go at least 50 receiving yards. You know, if he can get a 6 catches, score a touchdown here, I just think a variety of ways he can hit the over on this. I like Devonta Smith over 10.5 fantasy score and an absolute buy low opportunity. The second play here is going to be Roshan Johnson, running back for the Bears, and I like his over 11.5 receiving yards. Now, Roshan had missed the last 2 full weeks actually in concussion protocol, which again, weird for a player to be in concussion protocol for 2 weeks, but nonetheless, it's not like he was out with a knee injury or, I mean, this is just a concussion, so it's not like this injury should be lingering or give him any decline in production, right? But we take a look at this game specifically, and I mean, they've got Roshan Johnson listed as the starting running back, and I think Donta Foreman, who had been playing well for the Bears the last 2 weeks with Roshan out, obviously Khalil Herbert's out on IR, but Roshan Johnson is listed as the starter in the depth chart. And we know, dating back to, you know, Roshan Johnson being a rookie, we look at the first couple games of the year, he had been seeing that receiving work, right? In against Green Bay, he saw 7 targets. Against the Tampa Bay Bucks, he saw 2 targets. 2 targets here. Obviously, both these games were super weird for the Bears. Along with this Denver game is when he got hurt. Or actually, in this Denver game, I'm not even sure what happened in this one. Let's just see. This one, actually, this game was close. The Bears were up 28-0 at halftime, or 21-0 at halftime. Yeah, so they were running the ball heavily in that game. But we did see Khalil Herbert catch 4 passes for 19 yards. But Roshan Johnson, he is a pass catching back. I think he receives in this matchup, first game back, the majority of the passing work in a very strong matchup versus the Chargers. So, like I said, this game is going to be on Sunday Night Football, and the Chargers are 8.5-point home favorites here. The Bears are going to be throwing the ball a ton. Roshan Johnson currently minus 130 on DraftKings to go over this line of 11.5. And we kind of look here, Tyson Bagent, the new, or Bagent, whatever, how you pronounce it, he's the quarterback now for the Bears. And he threw 29 pass attempts in his first start against the Raiders, right? And in that game, of those 29 pass attempts, we saw Donta Foreman, who, again, I wouldn't consider an elite pass-catching back. He saw 5 targets. Darrington Evans saw another 3 targets. Blasingame saw a target, and Travis Homer saw a target. So 10 of Tyson Bagent's 29 pass attempts went to running backs. Now, we see Roshan Johnson's going to be sliding in to this position here. We look at running backs, right? Running backs versus the Chargers this season. The Chargers allowing, like I said, the 4th most targets to the running back position, along with the 5th most receiving yard reception, along with the 4th most receiving yards running backs against the Chargers. Now we look at other running backs game log this season versus the Chargers. Look how many running backs have gone over this line. We saw Jacob Johnson, who don't even know who that is, had 12 catches or 12 receiving yards. Raheem Mostert 13, Abdullah 14, Derrick Henry 15, McKinnon 24, Pacheco 28, Madison 32, Ingle 34, Pollard 80, Josh Jacobs 81. So I think this is an absolute buy low opportunity, again, with Roshan Johnson, him coming off the concussion protocol. I think if he had played the last 3 weeks and was that starter, like, this line could be at 20 plus receiving yards in this matchup. I see him playing. I mean, we saw the snap count for him before he got hurt. He was seeing 39, 42, and 45 in those first 3 weeks. I could see him playing at least 40% of the snap counts in this game, and could see him with easily 4+, 5+ targets, which again should be enough to clear this line. I just think too low for Roshan Johnson. Positive game script for him as well, with the Chargers being 8.5-point home favorites. We saw, like I said, Tyson Bagent target the running back position 10 times in his first start. Obviously, they want to, he's a rookie quarterback, a Division II quarterback. They obviously want to, play conservative with him. They don't want to have him do too much. I could definitely see him checking down to his backs in this game. So here are the 2 plays for this YouTube video. Devonta Smith over 10.5 fantasy score. Roshan Johnson over 11.5 receiving yards. I feel like both these plays are pretty surgical. Definitely interesting ones. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about these 2 plays. By the way, I am a Bears fan, so I do like Roshan Johnson's talent a lot. Just if you're questionable about the Roshan Johnson play, just go ahead and YouTube Roshan Johnson highlights. Dude is an absolute animal. And I see him getting a ton of passing work in this game. So 2 YouTube plays for this video. Drop a like on this video, you guys. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, let's cash.